The Norwegian system resembles the American one probably more than just about any other country that has a constitution going back as far as the Norwegian does into the beginning of the 19th century. But just like in the American Constitution, this was not an issue that was at the forefront of the discussions at the Constitutional Assembly. But it was something that emerged, and it was a right, just like the U.S. Supreme Court asserted its right to judicial review. It was a right that was implicit in the Norwegian Constitution, and that was asserted by Norwegian courts. And Ola may know this better than I do, but I would say the 1860s, 1870s, you have a sort of a gradual assertion of these rights. During the interwar period, from about the 1920s to about the 1970s, the courts gradually shrank away from striking down executive actions and legislation. But there's certainly been a remarkable reassertion of that judicial power in Norway over the last few decades.
Why did it come back?
I think this is part of a broader tendency towards a firmer establishment of and protection of individual rights. Some of the first decisions had to do with protection of property rights against government encroachment. There have also been cases that have had to do with the individual human rights protection. And so I think it's part of a broader national and international trend towards a sort of a firmer establishment of a set of rights. But I think it's also part of a broader sort of a return to the ideas of checks and balances that I mentioned before that's been going on in Norway. There was a period in Norway, I would say, maybe reaching its peak in the 1950s, when the executive really was the dominant branch in Norwegian politics, and there were relatively few judicial checks, and Parliament itself did not assert its power vis-a-vis the executive in a way that it's been prone to do since that time. But since about the 1950s, we've seen a reassertion of the power of Parliament and a reassertion of certainly of the powers of the judiciary, and a sort of revitalization of this conception of checks and balances, which I think has made Norway more Madisonian and more like the United States in that respect.